The most powerful force shaping your future does not wear a uniform. It does not pass borders with tanks or ships. It sits quietly in numbers, screens, and contracts. You handle it every day. You depend on it to survive, yet you do not control it. Fiat currency is not simply money. It is a system of rule, one that governs behavior, rewards compliance, and reaches decades into the future to finance the present. This is how empires endure after their physical limits are reached. Fiat currency is money with value because authority declares it so. It is not redeemable for a scarce resource. It is not anchored to metal, land, or labor. Its foundation is obligation. You must use it to pay taxes. Courts enforce contracts written in it, and governments denominate debts in it. These requirements create demand regardless of purchasing power. Fiat money works not because it convinces you, but because it surrounds you with no alternative. Money has never been neutral. In every civilization, whoever controlled money controlled coordination. Who worked, who traded, who waited. Fiat currency represents the most advanced form of this control because it removes natural limits. Scarcity is no longer physical. It is administrative. Money becomes a policy variable rather than a resource. Every empire expands until expansion stops paying for itself. Territory becomes harder to manage. Administration grows heavier. Military costs rise faster than revenue. At this stage, the empire faces a choice: accept limits or redesign money. Hard money forces honesty. Fiat currency offers delay. The Roman Empire was not undone by ignorance or weakness. It was undone by permanence. Early Roman currency contained high-purity silver. Trust was physical. As the empire matured, legions had to be paid whether conquest succeeded or not. Roads, cities, and bureaucracy demanded constant funding. The response was gradual dilution of silver content. Coins looked the same. Authority remained intact. Value quietly vanished. Roman debasement was an early form of fiat logic. The state declared value that no longer existed in substance. This allowed continuity without reform. The empire survived for centuries afterward, but at the cost of rising prices, economic distortion, and declining trust. Monetary abstraction delayed collapse but reshaped society in the process. Fiat currency emerges when truth becomes politically unacceptable. It allows rulers to promise stability without paying for it immediately. Instead of contraction, the system stretches, and instead of sacrifice, it borrows from the future. As long as belief holds, the structure stands even as foundations weaken. Ancient empires extracted tribute openly: grain shipments, precious metals, forced labor. Modern empires extract tribute invisibly. Fiat currency allows the issuing power to purchase real goods and services with claims created at minimal cost. Foreign producers accept these claims because they are required for trade and settlement. Tribute becomes embedded in trade flows rather than enforced by armies. In modern systems, this authority is concentrated in central banks. Institutions such as the Federal Reserve do not create wealth. They create liquidity. Money enters the economy through lending and asset purchases. Every new unit is tied to debt. The state gains immediate capacity, and society absorbs long-term obligation. Fiat currency cannot exist without debt. Expansion is not optional. It is required to service past obligations. Old debts are rolled into new ones. Growth becomes mandatory, not for prosperity but for stability. A system that stops expanding begins to fracture. Please subscribe to our channel. We want to hit 1,000 subscribers this week. Fiat money allows governments to manipulate time. Costs are delayed. Consequences are postponed. Wars can be funded without immediate taxation. Social commitments can be expanded without present sacrifice. Benefits are visible now. Inflation and debt arrive later, dispersed and diluted. This separation of decision and consequence is one of the most powerful tools ever devised. When a fiat currency becomes dominant globally, empire no longer requires direct control. Power flows through financial infrastructure, payment systems, credit markets, reserve holdings. This was once true of the British Empire through sterling. Today it defines the dollar-based system. Influence is exercised through ledgers rather than borders. Reserve currency status grants extraordinary privilege. The issuing nation can run persistent trade deficits without immediate penalty. It can consume more than it produces. Real goods flow inward. Financial claims flow outward. Other nations hold the currency as reserves, effectively lending real value back to the issuer. Inflation is shared globally. Constraint is softened. Empires maintain two accounts. One is visible, budgets, employment figures, growth statistics. The other is silent. It records purchasing power lost, savings diluted, obligations accumulated. Fiat currency operates primarily in this silent ledger. Its effects are gradual, cumulative, and often misunderstood. Over time, fiat currencies lose purchasing power. What once required one unit requires many. Government debt expands faster than productive output. Central bank balance sheets grow from emergency measures into permanent structures. Asset prices rise faster than wages. These are not accidents. They are structural outcomes. Inflation is often described as a policy failure. Historically, it functions as redistribution. Savers lose purchasing power, debtors gain relief. The state reduces the real value of its obligations. Wealth shifts through financial channels rather than explicit taxation. The process is slow, quiet, and politically efficient. Fiat currency reshapes behavior. Saving becomes less attractive. Debt becomes rational. Speculation is rewarded. Long-term planning weakens. Economic actors adapt not to productivity, but to monetary conditions. Dependence on expansion becomes cultural rather than exceptional. Fiat currency rests entirely on trust. Trust that institutions will endure, that enforcement will continue, that tomorrow will resemble today. When trust weakens, the system does not collapse instantly. It destabilizes, velocity changes, capital seeks alternatives. History shows trust erodes slowly, then breaks suddenly. Fiat currency does not signal immediate collapse. It signals maturity. Only large, complex systems require such abstraction. Only empires with vast obligations need money that can stretch indefinitely. Fiat extends imperial lifespan by converting limits into accounting entries. Rome diluted silver. Britain stretched sterling. The modern American order financialized the dollar. Different eras, different tools, identical logic. Empires adopt abstraction when physical expansion no longer suffices. Fiat does not cause decline. It delays its recognition. No monetary system can override reality forever. Fiat currency can redistribute loss. It cannot eliminate it. When obligations exceed productive capacity, adjustment follows. Inflation, restructuring, confidence shocks. The method changes. The arithmetic does not. Understanding fiat currency does not require ideology. It requires historical awareness. Money encodes power relationships. It translates political decisions into everyday transactions. Seeing this does not provide escape. It provides clarity. Fiat currency is one of the most effective tools ever developed by empire. It transforms belief into compliance and time into leverage. It allows states to operate beyond physical limits and postpone reckoning across generations. But every ledger must balance. Awareness does not prevent the outcome. It allows it to be recognized when it arrives. Please subscribe to our channel and support our work. We are aiming to reach 1,000 subscribers this week, and every single subscription helps us get closer to that goal. If you value clear explanations of what is really happening in the world, now is the time to join us.